I was known to my fans as Zara with his over 2.3 million followers on every platform, always trending, always on fire. People followed me for my travel vlogs, my bold challenges, and my motto, fear is content. One night, I was on a live stream, sitting in a flashy rooftop bar in Lagos, sipping on a neon-colored drink, when someone in the chat dared me, go somewhere off the grid. Real horror. No filters, no fake jump scares. The comments exploded. Yeah, Zara, you always talk big. Bet she won't. Go to Eziyama village. Heard it's cursed. Oh my god, do I TTTT. It's not even on Google Maps. To last. One stuck with me. A place not on Google. In this age, that was content gold. I smiled at the camera and said, all right, deal. I'm going to Eziyama. No crew. Just me, my phone, and the truth. Let's see what scares Zara. The chat went insane. They loved it. The next day, I flew to Owerri, rented a rugged motorbike, and headed toward the dense forests where the roads turned from gravel to red earth. I followed the vague directions dropped by a follower. No GPS, no signs. Just instincts and the thrill of the unknown. For hours, the landscape changed. From towns to farms to vast stretches of forest where the trees hung heavy like they were. Watching me, I stopped to ask a group of old women for directions. Eziyama, one of them asked, her voice dry like sand. Another woman spat on the ground. Why would you want to go there? It's for a vlog, I said, smiling confidently. My fans want real horror. They didn't laugh. One simply pointed, not saying a word. When I finally found the village, it was just as eerie as promised. A cluster of huts surrounded by thick trees and a strange silence. No chickens clucking, no kids playing, just stillness. I turned my camera on. Guys, we made it. Eziyama, no service. No electricity, just vibes. I scanned the village. On camera, showing the cracked mud walls, the smoky fire pits, and the peculiar-looking tree in the center of it all. It had carvings all over its bark, twisting patterns like vines, but unnatural. One of the carvings looked like an eye. I stepped closer and whispered, "Yo, this looks like something out of a horror movie." The phone vibrated in my hand. Weird, because there was no signal. Then a notification popped up. Live viewers 1012. That couldn't be right. I checked my status. Airplane mode was off, but I had 0 bars. How were they watching? All right, fam, I said, shaking it. Off. Looks like we're not as off the grid as I thought. I waved at the screen. Drop a skull emoji if you're ready for the scariest vlog of your life. The emojis came pouring in. Then one comment froze me. Zara, don't touch the tree. I looked around. No one was. Near me? I wasn't even pointing the camera at the tree. How did they know? I turned slowly toward the carvings again. Behind the tree, a child stood. A small boy, no older than 7, in torn brown clothes and bare feet. His eyes were wide, too wide. He said nothing, just raised his hand slowly and pointed toward one of the huts. I stepped toward him. Hey, you okay? Where are your parents? He didn't move, didn't blink. Then, in a voice too deep for his size, he said, they're waiting for you? Inside. My skin crawled. What do you mean? Who's they? But he had already turned and vanished behind the hut. I kept filming, of course. My heart was pounding, but the views were rising. Live. Viewers, 2,411 more than my usual peak. My fans were eating this up. Okay, I said into the camera. Looks like the adventure begins. Let's see who's waiting. I walked toward the hut he pointed to. The door creaked open without me touching it. Inside, it was dark. Dust in the air. Animal skulls hanging from the roof, and strange symbols drawn in white chalk across the walls. In the center, an old woman sat. Her hair was long and gray, and her eyes milky and blind. But she turned to face me exactly as I entered. "We've been expecting you," she said. "How, you don't even have signal out here," I joked, trying to sound confident. She smiled, with lips that didn't quite hide the gaps in her teeth. "You think the world only speaks through wires and screens? But here, the Watchers use other paths." That word again. Watchers. Who are the Watchers? I asked. She reached into a bowl beside her and scattered a handful of bones onto the floor. They clattered like dry sticks, then formed a pattern. I couldn't understand. They see through the mirrors, through the eyes of those who look too long. My phone buzzed. Live viewers 4,901. That was impossible. I turned the phone around to look at the screen. Dozens of comments, hundreds behind. "You. Zara, run. She's one of them. Don't believe what she says. The Watchers are waking." The screen flickered. Then for a split second, I saw myself only, not me. My face changed, twisted. My eyes were black holes. Then it's returned to normal. I stumbled backward, shaking, my voice trembling. "This is a prank, right? Some kind of ghost AR filter." The old woman stood up, impossibly tall now, her form towering, shadowed, stretching to the ceiling. Her voice was layered, now many voices speaking at once. "You came for fear, little influencer, but this is truth. And truth always demands a price." The door slammed shut behind me, and the live stream kept going. Viewers kept watching, but none of them could help me now. When the door slammed shut behind me, I screamed. Not the cute influencer scream I usually posted with Halloween filters. This was real, raw. My chest tightened, breath shallow, heart racing. I pounded on the door. "Let me out." The old woman was gone? Or maybe she had never been there. The hut was empty now. No bones, no symbols. Just silence, and the camera still rolling in my trembling hand. I forced myself to step outside. The sun was setting. The village had shifted. Everything looked the same, but felt off, like something ancient had cracked through the surface. I checked my phone again. No. Signal, live viewers, 0. That didn't make sense. It had just been thousands of people. Comments, emojis, warnings. All gone? Was it a glitch? I walked quickly through the center of the village. Few villagers stood outside their huts, staring at me. They didn't speak. They didn't smile. Just watched. I tried filming them, but every time I turned the camera, they weren't there. Like the phone couldn't see them. Just empty air where they stood. I found the little boy again. He was drawing in the dirt with a stick. Circles, lines, and what looked like eyes. "Hey," I said, kneeling beside him. "What's going on here?" He looked up. "They saw you." "Who?" "The ones who live in the watching place." I didn't know how to respond. He pointed to the tree again, the one with the carvings. "That's where they listen. The Watchers. You shouldn't have shown them your face." I wanted to believe it was a prank. Some creepy village-themed escape room. Maybe the villagers were actors. Maybe the boy was just repeating lines someone taught him. But my instincts screamed that none of this was a game. And worst of all, my battery wasn't draining. I'd been filming for hours, but the battery still showed 84%. Time wasn't moving. Normally here, that night, the village lit up with fire torches. I watched from a distance as villagers gathered around the sacred tree. They wore red cloths and covered their faces with white masks painted with blood-like streaks. Drums echoed. Across the darkness, slow, deliberate, haunting. I started recording again. The live stream didn't activate. No Wi-Fi, no data. But the recording worked. I zoomed in on the ceremony. The tree seemed to pulse with light from within the carvings. like the wood itself was breathing. One by one, the masked villagers chanted something in a language I didn't recognize. Then they brought something forward. Someone. It was a woman, young with wild hair and wrists tied. She screamed, struggling, as they pushed her to the base of the tree. No, I did nothing wrong. Don't let them take me. God started to run forward, but the boy from earlier stepped in front of me. You can't stop it, he said. I whispered, they're going to hurt her. He shook his head. She showed her face to the watchers. The watchers remember. She's the price. I looked back. The tree opened. I swear to God, it split down the center like cracked wood, revealing a hollow, dark space inside. Smoke poured out. Black, thick, and twisting upward like tendrils. The woman screamed again, but the smoke reached her and pulled her in. Gone. No blood, no trace. Just silence. Then the watcher spoke, not with mouths. With the air, dozens of voices, male and female. Child and elder, layered and hollow, whispered at once. You are next, outsider. I dropped my phone. My hands were shaking so bad, I could barely breathe. Then the boy grabbed my wrist. They want you because you're seen. Too many eyes, too many mirrors. They come through the screens, through the followers, through the watchers. Gasped, you mean? Through my followers. He nodded solemnly. You invited them. When you shared this place, when you went live. I tried to rationalize it, but if they're spirits or whatever, they can't come through the internet. He didn't respond. Instead, he led me to the edge of the village, to a low hut built with stone instead of mud. This is where the last one hid, he said. The last outsider. I hesitated, then entered. The walls were covered with writing, scratched, painted, etched, words in English. Desperate scrawls, like they live in the comments. Do not film the tree. The more who watch, the more they see. The live stream is the invitation. Followers are eyes. Eyes are doors. Then, near the corner of the hut, I found it. A phone. Old, dead, covered in dust. But I recognized the logo sticker on the back. It belonged to another influencer. I remembered her, had seen a thread about her disappearance online months ago. Everyone thought it was staged, just another viral hoax. But here was her phone, real dead cold in my hands. My mouth went dry. I need to leave. Shh. The boy shook his head. The road is closed now. Can't go back until you seal the watchers. How? He pointed again. To the tree, my stomach twisted. The drums started again. I stepped outside. This time, the villagers were dancing. Slowly, possessed there. Shadows stretched long, even though there was no moon. And as I looked up, saw something I hadn't noticed before. Above the village, where stars should have been, was a massive eye, watching, blinking, a single, ancient, glowing red eye in the sky. No one else reacted to it, but I saw it, and I knew. My followers had opened it. Now it would never close. Not unless I found a way to reverse what I started. I picked up my phone again, battery still at 84%, and a new notification appeared. Live viewers 13,666, but I never pressed go live. They were watching anyway. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the stone hut, back against the wall, clutching my phone like a weapon. But I didn't film. I didn't post. I didn't even turn on the flashlight. It was the first time since becoming an influencer that I felt silence was safer than going viral. Outside, the village made sounds that didn't belong to any living place, whispers that drifted in without direction, footsteps that came and went without weight, and low chanting that pulsed like a heartbeat. And that eye in the sky didn't fade. It just hovered above the treetops, unblinking. Watching, the boy returned in the morning. "You still have time," he said, sitting beside me. "But not much. How do I stop it?" I asked. He looked at me sadly. "They want something from you. You gave them your face, your name, your audience. You must take it back." "How?" He pulled out a small wooden mask. It was painted black, with 2 slits for eyes and an open mouth. "This keeps them from seeing you," he said. "But only for a while. You need to go to the shrine." I hesitated. Shrine. He nodded toward the thick part of the forest where even the birds refused to go. "The mirror shrine, that's where the watchers live. That's where they wait." I followed him through winding footpaths, deeper into the trees. Everything grew darker. The forest here felt ancient. Angry dust, and then I saw it. A circular clearing, ringed with black stones, each etched with the same symbols I'd seen in the hut. In the center stood a tall structure like a twisted arch of roots and bones, with a large, flat mirror embedded inside it. But the mirror didn't reflect the forest. It reflected me. Only not me. The version of me in the mirror had no pupils, just white glowing eyes and a wide, cracked smile. Her mouth moved, though I didn't speak. I heard her voice inside my head. "You wanted them to see you, Zara? Now they never stop watching." I stepped back. The boy handed me a stone bowl filled with dark liquid. "What is this?" I asked. "Blood and oil. You must smear it over your face. Mask yourself from their gaze. Then you must speak the severing." I took the bowl with shaking hands and dipped my fingers inside. It was cold and thick. I painted the dark mixture across my cheeks, nose, and forehead. The smell was sharp, metallic, wrong. Then the boy held up a scroll. "Read this. It's the only way." I took it, unrolling the brittle parchment. The language was strange twisted letters I didn't recognize. But as I stared at them, they started to make sense. Like something inside me remembered. Like the watchers were helping me read. I began to chant with each word. The mirror began to shake. My reflection twisted, distorted, till it wasn't me anymore. It was 1,000 eyes, opening and blinking. The wind screamed through the trees. The forest bent toward the shrine as if listening. And then I said the final word. Everything went silent. The mirror cracked, just one long, jagged crack down the center. My phone buzzed. I pulled it out. Live viewers, 0, no signal, no comments. No eye in the sky. I collapsed, breathing hard. The boy looked up at me, eyes wide. "You did it," he whispered. But before I could respond, a scream ripped through the air. Back toward the village. I ran when I arrived. The villagers were gathered again. This time, they weren't chanting. They were screaming. Dozens of them falling to the ground, clawing at their eyes, bleeding from their ears. Something had gone wrong. The old woman, the one who had disappeared in the hut, stood in the center of the chaos, arms raised, mouth wide open. But her voice wasn't her own. It was mine. "This is not your story anymore." Then her body cracked like porcelain. Something stepped out of her skin. A tall figure, no face, just a smooth blank mask where eyes and mouth should have been. Around its neck hung a necklace of shattered phones, and in its chest embedded, like a beating heart, was a glowing screen playing my live stream from the night before. The watchers hadn't been destroyed. They had been freed. I grabbed the boy's arm. "What happened?" I read the words. He shook his head. "You didn't sever them. You fed them." The more who watched, the stronger they became. The watchers were never trapped in the shrine. They were trapped inside you. My phone buzzed again. Live viewers, 21,011. I didn't start a stream. They were streaming through me. The figure moved toward the villagers. With every step, more of them dropped, their eyes turning black. I knew then what I had to do. It wasn't about destroying the watchers. It was about containing them. I looked at the mirror mask the boy gave me earlier. If they came through me, maybe I can pull them back in. No, the boy yelled. You'll be stuck there with them. I paused, went viral for chasing fake fear. Maybe it's time I went silent to fight the real kind. I ran to the sacred tree. It pulsed again. Awake, I climbed to TS. Climbed. My nails breaking against the bark, legs bleeding from sharp roots. The watcher's figure saw me and screamed in every voice I'd ever heard online. I reached the top, held up my phone, started a live stream. The figure stopped. The villagers turned, and I said, "Followers, you want fear? Watch this." I turned the phone on myself and screamed the ancient word from the shrine. The watchers rushed me. The phone cracked, my vision went black, and everything went still. When I opened my eyes, I wasn't in the tree. I wasn't in the village. I was somewhere else. A vast black space stretched in all directions. No ground, no sky. Just endless darkness, speckled with faint lights like dying stars. The air felt thick, like I was underwater, but I could breathe. And then I heard them whispers, thousands, millions, the voices of my followers. Some laughing, some crying, some repeating the same words. We see you now. Let us in. You gave us a door. Then I saw them floating in the dark dot faces, not bodies. Just faces glowing faintly, disembodied and drifting, like ghosts caught in a stream. I recognized some new people who had liked my videos, tagged me in challenges, bought my merch. My audience. But they weren't human anymore. They were part of it. Of them, the watchers. They surrounded me, swirling a current of corrupted connection. Like every view and click had become a thread in a web I couldn't see until now. I turned and saw something new, a giant mirror, suspended in the dark. It showed not me, but all the times I had stared into my own camera, laughing, posing, screaming, selling, pretending. Every second I had been seen, recorded, worshipped. The mirror rippled. Then something stepped out. It was me, but not Zarawatha's. This version of me had hollow eyes, mouth torn in a permanent grin, skin pixelated and cracked like broken glass. She held a phone, dripping black liquid. She smiled, and when she spoke, it echoed across the void. Thank you for the views. I backed away. You're not real. She tilted her head. I'm more real than you. I'm the you they created. It's the one they fed. The one who said yes to everything for the clicks. I am the viral version, and I'm free now. She lunged at me. I ran. There was no ground, no direction, but I ran anyway. The faces rushing past me, whispering my name, whispering stories I never told, secrets I never posted. Zara, do you remember when you cried after losing that brand deal? Do you remember when you faked the haunted house video? Do you remember what you sacrificed to grow your following? I screamed, covering my ears. But the voices were inside. And then Nee saw a light. A small one. A real one. It was the boy, standing at the center of the void, holding the mask. He spoke not with his mouth, but into my head. You can still choose. Become them, or bind them. I fell to my knees. I don't want to be seen anymore. He stepped closer, then put the mirror down. He placed the mask before me, and behind it, the mirror cracked again like it had been waiting for me. I crawled forward and looked into the reflection. Not at me. Not at viral Zara. Not at the hollow eyes, but at the village. The real people, the boy, the woman who screamed. The villagers who watched their homes die under the weight of a curse someone like me accidentally amplified. I whispered, I'm sorry. And I put the mask on. The moment I did, the void exploded in white. I felt it. Every watcher, every view. Every false version of me being sucked in. Torn apart, rewritten, I woke. Up on the ground at the base of the sacred tree, the phone beside me was cracked. The screen was dead. Looked around, the sun was rising. The villagers were still. Some knelt, some cried. The old woman stood, now fully human, aged and tired, but no longer possessed. You brought them back, she whispered. You sealed them again. Through you. I sat up, aching, my head pounding. The boy came to me and held up my phone. It's over, he said, but I wasn't so sure. I tapped the screen. It didn't turn on. No battery, dot. Double quotes, good, I muttered. I turned to the villagers. Is everyone okay? They nodded slowly. Some came forward and bowed. I didn't feel like a hero. I felt hollow. But also free. I stayed one more night. No cameras, no phone, just silence. I learned about the curse how decades ago. The village had made a desperate plea for protection during a time of war. The spirits answered. But they demanded something in return: an audience. Eyes to feed them. Praise, attention, worship. Over time, they grew stronger. When I came streaming, vlogging, uploading, it was like flinging the doors wide open. I gave them millions of eyes, and they almost never shut again. But now, they were blind, because I had chosen silence. The next morning, I left. The villagers gave me food and an old charm, a piece of broken mirror wrapped in cloth. To remind you, they said, of what you carry. I hiked back through the forest. No signal, no notifications, just birds and wind. And when I reached the road where the motorbike had died, it was working again, like the curse had lifted. I rode for hours, and when I reached civilization, I turned on my backup phone. No alerts, no missed calls, no news. It was as if I'd never gone live. No one remembered the stream. No one remembered the trip. No one even remembered EZI-AMA, like the watchers had erased their trail, except one post on my old account. A single, glitching video, 12 seconds long, me wearing the mask, staring directly at the screen. I deleted the app, every one of them. Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, even the streaming ones. I never used my phone. Felt lighter after that, but I knew it wasn't just the storage space. I was cutting cords that fed something I couldn't ever explain to anyone again. For weeks, I stayed offline. I ghosted my manager, ignored the brands, refused all interviews. The agency said I was wasting potential. But I didn't care anymore, because I knew the truth. The watchers weren't just spirits from an old village. They were born from us. Every mindless scroll, every fake reaction, every time we stared into someone's life without blinking, every time I begged for one more click, one more comment, we fed them. I was the perfect host, and I nearly destroyed a whole village for it. But then something strange happened. One day, while walking through the city, I passed a street performer mimicking influencers for laughs. People were gathered, filming, posting it in real time, and I saw it. For one split second, no more than a blink, saw a shimmer in someone's phone screen. A faint red eye. Watching, I froze. The performer kept dancing. People kept laughing. But none of them saw it. I was the only one who could, because I had worn the mask, because I had stood in front of the mirror, because I had lived inside the Watcher's realm. They had closed the door, yes, but they had left me with a key. That night, I returned to my apartment. I sat in the dark and pulled out the charm the villagers gave me, a broken piece of mirror. Wrapped in cloth, I unwrapped it carefully and looked into the reflection. It was normal, just me. Tired eyes. Scars on my arms from the tree bark. No filters. No edits. But as I stared deeper, I realized something. They weren't gone. They were. Waiting, watching quietly, through others now. Through people with even bigger followings, through those who didn't know better. Through kids chasing trends and adults desperate to be heard, they fed on attention. Not just mine. And sooner or later, they would try again. So I made a decision. I wasn't going back to Zarawathas. I wasn't going viral. But I wasn't going to run anymore either. I opened a new account under a different name. No selfies, no dances, no filters, just stories. Real ones. Whispers about cursed villages, ancient spirits. Warnings about the Watchers. At first, people thought I was some indie horror creator. Then, strange things started happening again. Comments like, "This story made my phone glitch." Why did I hear whispering in the background? My camera flipped while watching this. I knew it wasn't a glitch, it was them. But I kept posting anyway. Not to feed the Watchers, to track them, to watch them back. The villagers told me that those who've seen the Watchers carry their mark. They can sense when the Watchers return. When the lines between views and rituals blur again. So I became the Watcher of the Watchers. My posts were warnings in disguise, a signal to those who listened. And then, one day, I got a message request from a girl I'd never met. "Hi. I don't know if this is real, but there's a tree near my grandmother's house with carvings. And sometimes, I hear voices in my TikTok drafts. Can I talk to you?" I smiled. It had begun again. But this time, I wouldn't be alone. This time, I wouldn't be the door. I would be the one keeping it shut. Epilogue. They say fame changes you. It did. But not in the way they meant. It showed me what we become when we let the world look too closely, when we let being seen mean more than being human. Now I live in the quiet spaces. In ghost accounts, in whispers passed through comments only the right people understand. I am the influencer who saved the villagers, and I'm still watching. Just in case no one else is. Thanks for watching. Hoped you liked it. If you watched till the end, please comment "end" so that we could understand you were with us till the end. As well as, please let us know, where are you watching from? Before leaving, please hit the subscribe button, comment your thought, and share with your nearest and dearest one. See you in the next one. Until to the next one, stay happy. Goodbye.